your Legos on the floor! So hey everyone, how did you like Beyond Two Souls? I liked it pretty much. Now, ever since I saw that game, The Last of Us, if you know, back from 2013, I always thought that actress, I forgot what her name was in the game, was portrayed by Ellen Page. And to my surprise, she actually wasn't. Well, that kind of changed, because I've always wondered, what would it be like if Ellen Page, you know, the chick from Juno, starred in a PlayStation game? I mean, that would be quite epic. And my prayers were answered when I was watching the game from PewDiePie, Beyond Two Souls. Now, I've always wanted that game. I mean, first of all, I just love the idea of ghosts. I mean, they are just perfect, and they can scare anyone. Roughly, sort of. And on top of that, you get to see a tiny war with China, and you have like a new division inside the US military and intelligence agency called pretty much the Ghost Division, or however, or the Infraworld is how the CIA like to call it. Well, I mean, later on it was the Army, but hell yeah. Well, let me go step by step through the game. Now, the first part of the game, just before let me start saying, I played the game in chronological order. The game originally doesn't go like that. It usually goes through some sort of, like, you know, flashbacks kind of thing, so that way you can understand what's happening. I didn't like that at all, so I just chose to play it in chronological order. The first part of the game is ultimately the part I like. I mean, I'm speaking from a biased term because I pretty much love the snow, and the first part of the game has snow in it. It was just epic. And I have to say that part of the game was kind of, you know, nostalgic, I'll call it, because I remember being a kid and playing around in the snow and all that. Although unlike Jodie in this game, I kind of was able to play with my friends outside. I thought that, you know, Philip was kind of, you know, an asshole. I wondered, is he an abusive parent? But, you know, you do have to show kids discipline sometimes. Then we get to see Jodie in the Department of Paranormal Activity. And Willem Dafoe, he is awesome. I mean, like, I'm not going to give him a shout out because he's much more famous than I am. I mean, he was famous when I was in 4th grade. And that was when what was the first Spider-Man movie? That was the first Spider-Man movie with Tobey Maguire. That was in 2002. Yeah, that's where I first saw him. Maybe he played in earlier movies, but anyway. It was actually awesome to see Jodie grow up with him. Although, I have to say, I did not like her goth part. I mean, growing up as a goth, why would... Like, I'm not trying to shit on goth people, but I find that just strange. I mean, being a goth, being like, ugh. Okay, that was a really, really bad imitation. But anyway, moving on. Then that's where we got to see Ryan Clayton recruit Jodie into the CIA. Now, it's quite obvious to think that the US military and the US government would want Jodie with her sort of special abilities, and that's how she made it. Now, just let me start by saying, throughout the game I always wondered what was that thing attached to Jodie, and I found out at the end of the game, but, you know, I'll get to that later. And it was awesome. Like, it was awesome completely seeing Jodie go through all this training. I mean, a completely good and realistic view of what basic training is like. Although I will have to say, it was kind of cheating that she used Aiden lots of times. I mean, why would she call him Aiden? Throughout the game she called him Aiden. When I read it for the first time, it was always Aiden. That's how the names always go, but who cares? And I don't care what many people say, Ryan Clayton really does look like Ben Affleck. He just does. And in the CIA, Jodie takes part in many tasks. Like, the first one we see is infiltrating the Saudi embassy. I'm relieved that it was an embassy, because if she was actually in Saudi Arabia, 1, she wouldn't even be allowed to attend, and 2, she'd have to wear a burqa. Sharia law. And, you know, you may call me racist like some people did in the comments. I do not like Middle Eastern music. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. Nothing against them, I just don't like the music. And then we go to the plot of Black Hawk Down, where we go to Somalia. It's also worth noting Somalia is still in a state of turmoil. There's still no formal recognized government. Just a bunch of warlords still fighting for control over the country the same way it was about 30 years ago. And that's where we saw the sad mission of the game, where Jodie was actually coerced into killing the elected president, and the country was still destabilizing again, which is why she went on the run, which we saw her as a fugitive. I also did not like the homeless part. I mean, I kind of do feel sorry for homeless people, but at the same time, I really don't like that concept of homelessness. I mean, this is the West. We're supposed to be like a beacon to the world of how life should be like. Fortunately, she got out quite good, and as you know, it was also a happy ending for Stan and Jimmy and Walter and Tuesday. They all got jobs. Jimmy went back to school. It just ended perfectly. I mean, at the end of the game, if you decide to live with Stan, or should I say they provide the option Tuesday's baby, then you all live in this like really, really big apartment. They've come a long way from the streets on stealing money for food. It was also really sad to see what happened to Jody's mom. I mean, what kind of child wants that for their parent? Okay, what normal child wants that for their parent? But the CIA were pretty merciful at that point because they were already building up their own infra world. They just needed one more task. I remember when I was first watching PewDiePie play this game, he would mention that the enemy has shifted from Russia to China. And yeah, I get to see it right here. We get to see a brief World War III scenario, very similar to the one in Battlefield 4, where we get to see the US go against China, both the CIA and the spiritual force.
I want to be ninja, chow down to Chinatown.
And that ended quite well, as you pretty much saw for yourselves. And then we get to the last part, the one that I really dislike. Okay, Willem Dafoe, why did you have to get Jody to be into a coma? Willem, why? Why? But anyway, Ben Affleck as aka Ryan Clayton, along with Cole, just a shout out, Cole is pretty awesome. And Aiden, they all save her and then they destroy the Infraworld. Now, you could have asked me why didn't I choose death. Well, look, like Jody said, she needs to grow old, find love. I mean, look, everyone needs love in life. Everyone does. And just as you notice at the end, we got to see it right there. Jody and Ryan are in love and living their lives together. Okay, I would not go to a tropical island. I kind of like being in the northern hemisphere, and that's my kind of thing. But look, each to their own. But that last scene, the one that Jody saw in her nightmares, gets me troubled. Are we going to be seeing a sequel to this game? Because it's been about 4 years and still we've had no word. No, wait, when did that game come out? Yeah, it was 2013. Yeah, it was. Well, who knows? It's still too early to tell. Let's see what happens. So anyway, guys, thank you for sticking around in this pretty shitty time on YouTube. We're going to be continuing with this game. A couple of people have asked in the comments, am I going to quit? No, I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to do as best I can to reach the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours. And I'm going to help each and every single one of you just because you are awesome. And I will soon be starting with another game. I will upload it either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And you'll see for yourselves. See you guys later.